So my name is Flo and I'm from NCS. We've been working as iMindUK to tackle young people's mental health, and I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about my own experience. So we all thank you for coming today, because mental health in young people is such an important issue that often gets overlooked, both in Parliament and in day-to-day life. I was told a story by a friend of mine that her sister was told by the head teacher of a leading school that her anxiety doesn't exist. But so I can tell you, it definitely does. I've felt how crippling it is to struggle with my mental health, since it's not something that just disappears, as you saw in the video. It follows you around. It's always there, no matter who you are. Like your physical health, it is just as important. Your mental health is not just something that goes away. It can build up, making up your mental well-being worse and worse over time. Often the worst of times breaking you down. I've been affected by my mental health in different ways, and although you may look at me and think, wow, she's confident, she just got on the stage and got us to do an energizer and everything. Or you might watch me sing and think, well, she really hit a note. One, thanks for saying that. Two, just because I'm okay on the outside, it doesn't mean I am on the inside. Just because I'm confident, it doesn't show who I am inside. That's the thing with mental health, it's not just something you can always see. Some may say it's invisible, which to a certain extent it is, but you'll see it take its toll sooner or later. You might see the body language of someone who struggles with mental health issue. It might be that they play with their food, it might be that they speak quietly, or suddenly become down or in the middle of something, for maybe no reason, but there will be. Or they might just sit and play with their keys in their hands, or more recognisably, you might see them welling up, trying not to cry in front of you because they don't want you to see. Ladies and gentlemen, all of these things I've just mentioned to you are my habits when it comes to expressing my mental health issues. However, there are more troublesome things which can happen. Self-harm, for example, or even suicide. But where do we stand then? Back at square one, trying to figure out where the issue lies. And that's what we're here today to figure out, and how we can tackle it. Now, you may have recognised that I did not mention what mental health issue I have. That's because I do not know. I haven't been diagnosed with one. But I don't have to know that I need to look after myself, to make sure my days are all good, to make sure that I don't have to have that self-doubt in me all day, every day. I have to keep myself together, and I know there are other people like that aren't necessarily knowing what they are dealing with, but it doesn't matter, because everything has its own way of being tackled. You're all individuals, and you're your own person, and you're the only person who can unlock your own potential. But as a community, we have the responsibility to help everyone out, to help everyone achieve a better life, to help them tackle what they're going through. But you have to just be there and support them. You can't upright tell them, this is what's going to make it better, this is what you have to do. You have to be caring and look after them. Now, I tell you that there's more to my mental health than I've told you now. There really is, and I'd love to be able to tell you, but I feel like it's just probably going to drag on for a little bit. So, there are definitely things we can do for each other, we all know that. We all have to just give each other guidance. So I'm going to ask you one thing. What are you doing as an individual, not as a community, not as a group, but as an individual, what are you doing to tackle young people's mental health? You're all doing one thing, is by being here today, listening to me, Andy, Ella talk. So I'm just going to say thank you, and I'm going to hand you over to Ella. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Ella, and today I'm going to be talking about 24 hours in the life of somebody who has a mental health problem. As we all know, life can be really tough sometimes, but it's even harder if you have a mental health problem, as everyday tasks become so much harder. And as a young person myself, I can relate to quite a few issues that Flo mentioned. So I'm going to be explaining hour by hour, various challenges a young person might face in a day. 9 AM, getting up and getting dressed. For most people, this is a really easy part of the day. Getting up, brushing their hair, putting their makeup on. But for someone who has anxiety, this is a really challenging part of the day. Dragging themselves out of bed and comparing themselves to celebrities and other people online. This then starts comparison, and now starts their day terribly as they don't feel good enough. 10 AM, lessons in school. As soon as this young person gets into school, she puts on a mask of feeling fine when in fact she is not. She is fighting back tears and wants to cry. She puts her headphones in all day and refuses to speak to people, scared of the judgment of saying she has a mental health problem. As the day progressed, she feels more and more shy, and her learning is affected because she cannot feel like she can ask for help. 3 p.m, getting home. As soon as this young person gets home, she cries, and she feels so isolated and unhappy. She doesn't have friends or family that cares. She overthinks comments and things that she did during the day, thinking that she is stupid and ugly. To try and console herself, she goes on social media. She posts lots of fake happy images online, giving the impression to the world that she is happy, when in fact she is the opposite. She then spends the next hour addicted to checking the likes and comments, trying to make herself happy. When this does not happen, this makes her feel even worse. 7 p.m, dinner with the family. This is when an argument occurs with her parents because her parents do not understand her anxious thoughts. She feels frustrated but does not feel like she can speak to her parents about it. She then decides to starve herself as a way of dealing with her frustrations. A million dreams, but she doesn't feel like she can share them with her family. Her parents don't understand the pressures of being a teenager. 10 p.m, bedtime. When this young person goes to bed, she feels hungry, tired and lonely, so she doesn't sleep very well. She spends the whole night worrying about the next day and feels that she cannot cope. Is it a bad day or is it a bad life? We all have bad days, but for someone with mental health, it's more than just a day, a week or a month. It can be years and years, and it's a cycle which you can't escape unless you get help. And this is why events like this are so important, because it encourages people to speak and it makes people not feel as lonely. So I'm going to pass on to Andy. Thank you very much for listening.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, everybody who's come on today mentioned that there are people, charities or organisations with one age group in mind as young people. Many of them are focused on the issue of young people's mental health. Thank you to you all. But although all of this is absolutely great, we need to understand there's not enough being done. With never-ending waiting lists and young people being daily refused help for their mental health issues because they're not ill enough or too ill to be helped by the charity organisation, or simply due to the lack of funding, the problem simply manifests. And as you know, a small case of anxiety or depression can escalate to suicide. As Flo has already said, that brings us back to square one. What the nation needs is a wake-up call. Young people are our future MPs, our future generation, and they represent the future of the United Kingdom. Perceptions of young people's mental health needs to change, but this can't be done by myself, Ella and Flo here. Together, and only together, can we make this happen. I tuned into BBC Radio 4 this morning and I was thrilled to hear 3 teenage girls talking about domestic abuse and what it's like to be a victim of domestic violence. Talking about it, how to get support, and informing parents and listeners to make them aware of the problems associated with something so awful that happens in society. Professionals talking on the programme pointed out how young people's relationships are now as similar and as complicated as adult relationships, just like mental health. The programme gave brilliant advice to parents to help them be non-judgmental towards their children and give them appropriate advice to help them. And this is the perfect example of what we should do to help spread awareness of young people's mental health and the difficulties that they face. So today is an opportunity to think, to plan about young people's mental health, but more importantly is to instruct a plan and put our ideas into action to make a difference in our local community. We all know that there is a problem, confirmed on the 9th of May by the publication of the government's green paper, suitably named Failing a Generation. If you haven't already seen this green paper, please check it out online, because I think it really captures the current problem. In today's world, our schools can't cope, teachers don't have the time or in-depth knowledge to help young people, and the new green paper will only help 22% of young people. That's 1 in 5 of our youth population. Meaning that 4 out of 5 members of our lost generation will not have access to support. The worst bit, this pathetic, diabolical plan will not come into force for 4 years. It's poor, pathetic and embarrassing, but unable to provide support to all young people that's high quality and suffice. So let's stop messing around, because something needs to change now. What needs to happen? Simply, there's not enough being done, and the dealing of young people's mental health is simply not good enough. In fact, it's disappointing how many young people get rejected for support or they're simply not eligible for it. What is the dream scenario? That's a good question, and I'm sure many of you here would like to find the answer, but today we are going to try to find this answer. It would be a society where young people are able to talk about mental health openly and in a way that's recognised to be something of everyday conversation. A society where you will see young people talking about their mental well-being as often as discussing weekend plans and even football games. The young person must be able to live in a family environment where everybody understands about mental health. Everyone talks as openly about mental health as they will with their physical health and knows where to turn when help is required. Today, we need to work towards changing perceptions, as you can see on screen now, of young people's mental health. The typical stereotype of young people is, oh, look over there at Jessica and Jamie. They're so addicted to their phones, they're so unsociable. You understand where I'm coming from. However, in actual fact, young people's social media usage isn't all as bad as you think. We know that the uprise of mental health difficulties amongst young people has rocketed in the last 10 years. I know that there are two main causes of this problem: social media and technology. The iPhone was released to the world on 29th of June 2007, and the world did not know that bringing a device that, although brings so many positives with it, would bring a tsunami of mental health issues also. However, you say young people are becoming depressed, isolated and addicted to their phones, when first of all, let me ask you some questions. Raise your hand up in here if you have a smartphone, be it Apple, Samsung, you name it. Everyone just have a look around now, keep those hands up. Right, I think we can all see that there's 99% of people in this room who have a smartphone. So many young people in modern society mentally suffer with feelings of isolation, depression and anxiety, and as a result of cyberbullying, all thanks to technology and social media. Body image on Instagram with the story of a young person feeling not good enough is a really common story in today's world. However, it's time for a little reality check now. This affects adults too. People like you, your age, regardless of your profession, your background, your qualifications, your family, your experiences, your intelligence and your personality. You all experience the same problems. So social media has its downfalls. We have all these adults who criticise young children and young people's addiction to social media. Well, let me ask you this. Hands up to those who take a sneaky look at their work emails, messages or social media accounts when they get home from work. In the mornings when they wake up, or catch that cheeky glance when they're really meant to be spending quality time with family or friends. Raise your hand now if you're able to admit you've done something like this or similar. Again, have a little look around. I'm sure we can see that it is mostly everyone in this room. So there we go, point proven. With society constantly changing, we as professionals in the community must tailor our support to young people, empathise with their daily struggles in this rapidly changing world because not enough is being done. So to tackle this, we need to make sure the young person understands about mental health, what can influence it, and how to deal with these difficulties. We can help to tackle this issue through education, and education. We need to ensure the young person has ways to manage unhelpful and negative thoughts and has access to tools, apps, resources or videos to help encourage them to do so. Now we're going to move on to schools. Some schools appear to have great procedures in place for young people's mental health, and there's counselling available but often nothing else. We know that in local schools, take the very establishment that we're in today, counsellors are usually only available for the sixth form, and as Flo has discussed with our youth board, by the time the individual gets to see the counsellor, the problem has either got worse or has moved on to something even worse. I'm just repeating myself there. Therefore, we need to make improvements to be made in society so that the young person knows exactly where to turn for help, both in schools and out. A help that's there when they need it, and a help that is readily available, with no waiting times and no stigma attached. The young person needs to have widely available means to learn life skills both inside school and out, and sees this as a very positive way to spend their time. This could be programs such as the NCS that some of us are representing today, which has helped so many people in the community overcome or deal with anxiety and break the barriers which they believe they can never break. Myself, for example, and many of us in the youth board, we'd never have dreamed of public speaking. I wouldn't be standing here right now 5 years ago, and thanks to the NCS I've been able to do that. And this should be something that we should really encourage in schools, as well as an increase in physical activities. So we want to support young people, but we can't go taking them out of physical education lessons for an appointment, a lesson in which the endorphins released help boost happiness and a more positive mental well-being. Or by taking them out of an academic lesson which causes them to get behind, get stressed, and once again brings us back to square one. Instead, we need to empathise with young people and make sure the support sessions are tailored and built around their increasingly busy lives. Furthermore, young people with specific difficulties need to receive specialist help that they require at the time that they need it, not 7 months down the line. A help that is effective and works to help them fulfill their potential once again. We'd be here all day, night, and probably a week if I were to list all the examples of the mental health experiences from my family, friends and relatives, but perhaps let's just take one example this afternoon. So I have a friend whose name I won't disclose due to privacy reasons today, but for the purposes of this talk, she's called Jessica. Jessica struggled with anxiety, depression and bullying for so much of her life. She was ignored by heads of school and those who were meant to tackle these issues, which therefore led to a depressive spiral of isolation, depression and suicidal thoughts. Jessica's anxiety got to the point where she could no longer go outside her own house, see friends, or even stand in sight of herself in the mirror. A state in which she never smiled. When she and her mother applied for help with CAMS, time and time again, they were declined support because Jessica was not ill enough to be helped. Wait, so Jess was declined help because she wasn't yet suicidal? Wasn't yet suicidal. When they eventually received the little support that she was offered, the quality of support was way below what anyone would class as helpful. And when Jess turned 18, the help stopped and she was left to her own devices as a young adult in society. Jess's story is a common one, and we need to make this happen. We need to make a change happen. It's simply sick that this goes on, and as well as a necessity for action from us here, the UK government must recognise the need to invest more money into the field of young people's mental health, because they are truly failing a generation, as the Green Paper quite rightly puts it. After leaving school, having no GCSEs, we're simply lucky that Jessica's managed to turn it around the hard way, without support. And is simply lucky to be one of the few who has made this journey alone. As she is now home studying for her A-levels with the achievable ambition of going to university to study psychology in 2019, maybe her question for you would also be on the topic of psychology. Why do you allow young people to go through pain, suffering and mental torture day to day? I never thought I'd have to say it, but we've really got to get our act together and quick. In October last year, the National Citizen Service Youth Board in Dorset, which as I said before many of us are representing today, co-founded the campaign iMindUK with Devon and Cornwall, tasked with breaking the stigma around mental health and raising awareness of young people's mental health issues. Following the start of this small campaign, we're back again to start something big with all of you here. Together with you, we're launching a campaign to change perceptions of young people's mental health. The aims of changing perceptions are as follows. Changing young people's perceptions of their own mental health and well-being. Changing the perception of the community's view of young people and their mental health. Making a paradigm shift for young people to understand that they have control over their own mental health. Giving young people the resources to manage their own mental health, in particular in the form of a short suite of video films that we hope to launch soon. So if anyone has any contacts, anyone who can be a cameraman or anything, or camerawoman, we'd love to hear from you if you can help in any way. So on screen now, our social media tags are up there, so do feel free to follow us to keep an eye on what we're doing. That'll be up for the next few minutes anyway. So do feel free to take a photo of that or go on there. And of course, changing perceptions is the hashtag for today. So please do start spreading the message, because the more people that start spreading this message, the more likely we can get this trending online and make a massive difference. So thank you everybody in advance for all your help and support with our project. Please continue to spread the word as the day goes on social media and when you leave here today. Do please also talk with our representatives who will be here on stands throughout the day. As I said before, if you know any contacts who can help us formulate a selection of videos to help raise awareness of young people's mental health, we'd love to hear from you. So Ella and Flo's will come back over here now. We're just going to sum up. So just to say thank you to Ella. So that's it from Ella.
Yeah, that's it from Flo.
And that's it from Andy.
So that's it from all of us. So thank you very much for listening. together we can change perceptions, and I'll now hand you over to our expert academic, Andy Mayers.
Oh, crikey, I thought, who's that then? Okay, thank you. Wow, I mean, there really are no words. I mean, I read some of what was going to be presented. What I didn't know was what the delivery was going to be like. I mean, again, come on. So we've now got an idea of what young people are thinking, feeling. They're kind of asking us the questions. There's many of us in the room who can actually help in making a difference, whether we be in the NHS, the charity, as part of commissioners and all that sort of thing. We can